Hey, it's Armand with Attract. At Attract Advisors, we offer accounting advisory, tax advisory, as well as financial management services. We're lucky enough to work with very many hardworking, talented entrepreneurs across many different industries. Many of these individuals are world-class in their sphere and have great stories to tell. This is our way of highlighting their accomplishments and their insights, and we hope you enjoy these conversations. Hey, it's Armand with Attract, and today we are talking with Kent Shepard. Kent is Chief Operating Officer and President of Domestic Operations and Business Development for United Weld Holdings, better known as Epic Piping. Kent, thanks for coming in and chatting with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me in this morning.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us a little bit about United Weld or Epic, and explain to us what pipe fabrication is.
Well, Epic Piping started in February 16th, 2015. We had 19 executives walk out of a company that was bought. The Shaw Group was bought by CB&I. We had a 2-year no compete, and 19 of us walked out, including you, with 500 years of experience. And subsequently, CB&I went out of business, and we started in 15, and by 17 we had started turning profits. And by 18 through today, we have been the most successful fabricator in the United States. Ask what we do. We fabricate pipe for plants. It's a pipe fabrication assembly, but we do it for anything. It could be a refinery, it could be chemical, it could be offshore, it could be power. Now we have a whole new world market of battery plants. I've never fabricated pipe for a battery plant until last year. It was the first time, and that's getting very, very aggressive now. Toyota, Ford, COVID is probably one of the best things that ever happened to our business, because all the batteries and chip plants as well were made in China, and obviously we couldn't get that. So now everybody's building them here to keep control. Also, data centers require pipe. So our business has really changed a lot. We have our normal core that I've been doing for 35 years and other people longer. And now we got a whole nother business. And we do think that there could be a year where we fabricate more non-traditional pipe than traditional pipe.
Wow, okay. Well, instead of asking you to kind of describe your career, what I think is interesting is the wide scope of jobs you've held within pipe fabrication in general, both within the shop and in the front office, so to speak. So start from the beginning and describe, if you can remember them all of the different roles you've held within pipe fab.
Well, to be honest with you, I've actually started in safety and HR. So I started in there as an intern and did that for about 89 to 93 as an intern. And that was started at Turner. And then I went to the Shaw Group. And one day I said, I want to learn this business. Can't learn a whole lot of business in the safety and HR. I mean, you're around it. So I went into quality. I was the first bending inspector for the Shaw Group when they got their first bending machine. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I went into project management. And then I ended up running our largest customers projects, Bechtel. Then I became the Bechtel Alliance Manager. We had 7 or 8 shops doing Bechtel work, so I oversaw that. Kind of did the sales side, the contract side. And then also brought in, was the Alliance Manager for Dow and Bechtel at the same time, which was about 70% of what our revenue was. So it was a big chore. And then eventually in 2003, I took over Sunland Fabricators in Walker, Louisiana. Did that for 5, 6, 7 years. Then I became Senior Vice President of Global Sales. And that was my last position prior to coming to Epic. And I came to Epic as the president, and now I'm the COO. So it's been I started in 89, so about 35 years, 3 of which were internship, as you started with me.
Right.
So yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
For sure. Well, and going back to me, when I first met you in 2007, so I first met you as a general manager at the Shaw Group at Sunland. And so when I think about, Ken Shepard just in a professional, arena, I always think of you as a manager first. And so talk to me a little bit about your management philosophy and style.
Well, in our business, and I'm sure others, but I know I can speak only for Pipe Fab because that's all I've ever done. My management style is the big thing you got to be in our business is urgent. Urgency will get you a long way. You got to have relationships. There's an old saying, what do you got to have for real estate? Location, location, location. I had a guy named Bill Keto, still in the industry, used to work at Shaw, that said the key thing in this business is relationships, relationships, relationships. But on the management side, that's more of a sales side I got off on. But on the management side, urgency, I would take somebody on a 10 of urgency and a 5 on up here versus the other way around. Our business, it requires that. I believe in holding people accountable, setting expectations and not accepting anything less than what you have set for them to do. I feel like you should leave your employees alone that do their job, let them do their job, and manage the ones that don't. And then if those don't become what you want them to be, then you have to move on from that. But I do believe in giving your employees credit when credit's due. But I do also believe in get them on them a little bit when they don't do what they do. And it seems to work. I rarely, in the last several years, every once in a while I want something to go wrong so I can yell at somebody, but just kidding. But it is, I rarely get disappointed in at Epic. At Shaw, it seemed to be more. We've got great facilities. We've got a great team. Yes. We've got great financial backing. We have fantastic systems. And as you do, we have really extremely good accounting. The difference between accounting at Epic and Shaw, I think you can vouch for it because you were in both, it's not even close. Yeah. And we had a clean sheet of paper. So, Shaw was started and I think Shaw bought 27 companies in 26 years, but a bulk of them were like in a one time frame and a lot of them were in our division. And I think we built an infrastructure and didn't grow too fast. We've from our first year of revenue, I believe was $12 million to this year, probably $350 million. Right. So we've grown fast, but we haven't grown too fast, but we are poised to grow because we have the infrastructure.
Yeah. And so when I think about your management style and some of the things you built upon, I know you're a big fan of Lou Holtz, right?
Correct.
And his book. Talk to me about.
Yeah. I was going to Ireland. I was 27 years old and I was scrambling in the New Orleans airport looking for a book. And I had met Lou Holtz as a child. I had a friend that played at Arkansas, a family friend. I was a young kid. I was late 70s, so I was 8 years old or whatever. And I've always liked him. I'm Catholic, so I always liked Notre Dame. So when he went there, I really got into him. He won a title there and probably should have won another one. But I read his book and when I went to Ireland, and from that day forward, I've lived my whole life that book. I've used it in multiple, almost every management meeting I've ever had. And we have a little offsite manager meetings once a year. I use it, and it's just, it's an amazing book called Winning Every Day, if you ever want to read it. Lou Holtz had 109 goals when he was 20-something years old, and he's achieved like all but a couple. And one of them was to spend the night in the White House. When he was 20, how did he know he was going to do that? He did because he won a title. One was to be on the Tonight Show. How did he know that? He won a title. But he had some lofty goals and neat categories by family, by business, by God, and then it's by, I think, like what the heck, that like jumping out of an airplane, skydiving or something like that.
All right.
So they weren't easy goals, and he achieved almost all. Maybe he has achieved all of them now. That was 1997, but it's a very good book, and it's really easy to read it in a day. 206 pages, and it's just simple reading, but it's got a good message.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even though, I probably think of you first and foremost as a manager, I think a lot of people maybe outside of Epic, but within kind of the industry, think of you as BD first. So talk a little bit about like how you got introduced into business development and kind of what your philosophy is around that.
Yeah, I spent my first, I guess, 15 or so years in operations, but everybody thinks I'm just over BD for some reason. But I've been fairly successful, so maybe that's part of the reason. But like I said, relationships, that's probably the key thing. I think what helped me succeed in BD was the 15 years of management. So this industry is very small. People don't forget. And I did a lot of good things as a PM, as an alliance manager, and as a GM. So when I went into sales, people trusted me to perform. I think to be in sales, you should come up through operations. I think you can sell much better, and you do understand when there's a problem, and you can actually assist. When I was in BD at Shaw, I did a whole lot of, as I did a whole lot of operational things.
Yeah, sure.
I think if you're operationally sound and you have the ability to sell, which not all do, as that's the best product you can put on the table. So I try to bring up my BD people, like an Adam Thompson came up through project management into BD. Even Chris Matthew, we had him run some jobs to get him that experience, not as extensive as Adam. Some of the other ones we got, Doug Murray, he's ran shops.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important. Somebody wanted me to groom, the best BD guy I could get. I'd put him through, a few years of operational stuff. And it gets you more respect with the clients if they know where you've come from. A lot of people just, I don't want to hear a sales guy. I don't sell that way. I'm not a pesky salesman. I sell on my reputation. And Epic's reputation, obviously, but my direct, a lot of these people that, almost everybody I've sold a job to, I've ran a job for.
Right.
And it's luckily this business is small because you get to know a lot of people. And they're like, well, if I give something to him, it turns out well, so I'm gonna give it to him.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you always have to have a low price. And the other thing I say, because of our capacities and abilities and our team and systems, is never say no. If we can't do it, nobody else can, so might as well be us.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, so how about best and worst career advice you ever got?
Last time this got to me. The best advice would be from my dad that said, and again, I can't believe this happening twice, but he said, take all the responsibilities you can and don't worry about money, and good things will come.
It's really funny that you just said that, and we didn't plan this at all. But if the tables were switched and somebody asked me the best career advice that I've ever got, it would be, oh, well, it's from Ken Shepard, and it is take every opportunity, never say no, do the best you can, and don't worry about money because it'll come.
Yep. And that wasn't mine. That was passed down a couple of generations. But and the worst, I remember one time we used to sub out paint and asked my boss, how much money are we trying to make here? And he said, just make sure we break even. You never should try to just break even unless you're in a bad situation, which we weren't. If you got to lose your job and breaking even's winning, then that's okay. But you should always try to make as much money as possible. And another good advice, it's funny you say, was from Jim Bernhardt. He said, you shouldn't care how much money you made. You should think about how much money you could have made. Right. So that's a good one too. When you're doing well, it's easy to go, oh, I made budget. Well, why not beat budget? Why not try to find another way to make more? And you should never be complacent on the money you're making. In our business, if we do X amount of spools or die inches or whatever we measure, which we measure a lot of things, it's whatever we do the next day, we want to do more. We've never said, we've made it to the top and we're good. That's never been said. That was instilled by me by Jim Bernhardt that, you should never be content. Now you should be happy with where you're at. You got to smell the roses sometime, enjoy life. But the second you think you're the best and you don't need to get better, then somebody's going to pass you up.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. Okay, so last question, since we're an accounting firm, got to ask, what is your kind of view and philosophy on accounting in your professional career? And, how do you kind of think about that as you're running the business? And, what does that entail for you day to day?
Yeah, I mean, like I had mentioned earlier, the difference between the Shaw Group and Epic's been completely different and much better. Mike Dillman, as you know, worked for, is the best CFO I've ever worked with.
Me as well.
You were a large part of establishing where we're at. I mean, you hadn't been gone long, and you're still assisting in ways I don't know how much anymore, but I know you still assist me on occasion. But it's very important. You got to have sound budgets. Our budgets are so close. Sometimes it's scary. Not even the bottom line. When you're going to do $20-something million in a month, and the top line's $50,000 within it. That's just very good. But it's nice to know that you know where you're at, and you have a solid budget. And if you can produce that, that's going to happen. There's never any surprises with our accounting. But and it's each month as we're trying to, I'd say, looking at a quarter, trying to make X amount per quarter. When the first month ends, that day, we have a number of where we think we're going to be, and it never varies enough to make a difference.
Right.
So you always know, if I do this next month, I do this next month. Just the visibility that accounting gives us. Obviously, as well as watching our CapExes. It's something that I will say, and I think you can attest. The support I had coming up in a shop, I wish I had that when I ran a shop. The type of accounting we have at Epic, but it's obviously you can't have a budget without it. You can't keep up with how you're going to spend your money that year to either maintain or add some product lines to it. But it's extremely important.
Yeah,
extremely important.
For sure. All right, Kent. Well, appreciate you coming in and chatting with us today.
That was fun.
I know this was a first probably for both of us. So really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.